What happens when a championship-caliber franchise completely butchers the development of their most promising young talent, and then acts shocked when that player wants to escape? The answer is unfolding right before our eyes in Golden State, and frankly, it's both infuriating and utterly predictable at the same time. The Golden State Warriors, the same organization that masterfully crafted a dynasty just 3 years ago, are now staring down the barrel of another massive talent exodus. First Jordan Poole, then Klay Thompson, followed by Kevin Looney, and now their crown jewel prospect Jonathan Kuminga is reportedly demanding his way out. This isn't just bad luck or natural roster turnover. This is organizational malpractice of the highest order. The breaking point. When promise turns to frustration, let's be brutally honest about what's happening here. According to Clutch Point's national NBA insider Brett Siegel, Kuminga doesn't just want a new contract, he wants a complete fresh start away from the Warriors. The young forward is seeking approximately $30 million annually, but more importantly, he's seeking respect and opportunity that Golden State has consistently failed to provide. It is known around the league that Kuminga doesn't want to be with the Warriors any longer and instead wants to continue his career elsewhere, Siegel reported. Those aren't the words of a disgruntled player having a bad month. That's the sound of a relationship that has completely disintegrated beyond repair. The most maddening part? This disaster was entirely preventable. Kuminga's inconsistent role in the rotation and Coach Steve Kerr's often dismissive public comments about the young talent have created a toxic environment where a player with immense potential feels undervalued and underutilized. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife. The same coaching staff that developed Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green has somehow forgotten how to nurture young talent. This organizational failure has created a shallow trade market for Kuminga, as teams across the league are hesitant to meet his contractual expectations when they've watched him struggle for consistent playing time in Golden State's system. The Warriors have essentially torpedoed their own assets' value through gross mismanagement. Trade Scenario 1. The Phoenix Gamble. The Phoenix Suns currently hold the highest odds of landing Kuminga, but even they're having second thoughts about meeting the asking price. According to Dwayne Rankin of the Arizona Republic, Phoenix may be reluctant to pull the trigger due to their limited draft capital and assets necessary for a sign-and-trade arrangement. In a potential deal, the Warriors would receive Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, and a 2029 second-round pick in exchange for Kuminga. On paper, this package addresses some immediate needs, veteran depth, and a center to fill rotation gaps, but it feels like selling low on a player who should command premium return. The Warriors are reportedly planning to offer Kuminga a $20 million contract in hopes of facilitating a trade, essentially trying to manipulate the market to their advantage. It's a desperate move from an organization that's painted itself into a corner, and it reeks of damage control rather than strategic planning. Trade Scenario 2. The Chicago Connection. The Chicago Bulls present an intriguing alternative, actively seeking to dump Nikola Vucevic's contract while adding young, dynamic talent to their rebuild. In this scenario, the Warriors would acquire Vucevic and highly touted prospect Matisse Buzelis in exchange for Kuminga. For Chicago, landing Kuminga at a $25 million price point would represent both immediate impact and long-term potential. Adding Buzelis to the deal would help balance the financial aspects while giving the Bulls exactly the type of versatile, athletic wing they need for their future core. From Golden State's perspective, this trade addresses their desperate need for a legitimate center, even if it's a temporary solution. Vucevic brings veteran leadership and proven production, while Buzelis represents the type of developmental project the Warriors once excelled at nurturing, assuming they remember how to do that. Trade Scenario 3. The Milwaukee wildcard, perhaps the most intriguing option, involves the Milwaukee Bucks, who desperately need wing versatility beyond Giannis Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee would send Kyle Kuzma, AJ Green, and a future first-round pick to Golden State in exchange for Kuminga. This deal makes sense for Milwaukee, both as a win-now move and as insurance for the future. If Giannis decides to leave, having a young talent like Kuminga already in place would soften the blow considerably. The Bucks are actively pursuing this type of move, recognizing that their championship window requires immediate upgrades. The Warriors have reportedly shown little interest in deals centered around Kuzma, but the addition of sharpshooter A.J. Green and future draft compensation could sweeten the pot enough to change their minds. Green's shooting ability would fit perfectly into Golden State's system, while the future pick provides long-term value. The bigger picture, organizational malpractice, here's what's truly frustrating about this entire situation. The Warriors have completely mishandled Kuminga's development and trade value, yet they're still trying to dictate terms like they hold all the leverage. This is organizational arrogance at its finest, and it's costing them dearly. While none of these trade packages might seem like blockbusters to Warriors fans spoiled by previous championship runs, they all address critical roster needs that Golden State must fill to remain competitive. The playoffs have repeatedly shown that depth matters more than ever in today's NBA. Just look at how the Indiana Pacers leverage their bench strength to make a surprising run. The days of relying solely on a few aging superstars are over, and the Warriors seem to be the last organization to realize this fundamental shift. Their mishandling of Kaminga represents a broader failure to adapt to the modern NBA's emphasis on player development and roster construction. The harsh reality check, what makes this situation even more painful, is the unnecessary nature of it all. Kuminga entered the league with tremendous potential and genuine excitement about contributing to the Warriors' championship culture. Instead of nurturing that enthusiasm and developing his skills systematically, the organization created an environment of uncertainty and frustration. Steve Kerr's public comments about Kuminga often carried undertones of impatience and criticism rather than encouragement and development. For a young player trying to find his role on a veteran-heavy team, that kind of messaging from the coaching staff can be devastating to confidence and growth. The result is a talented 22-year-old who should be entering his prime years as a cornerstone piece, instead demanding a trade and seeking validation elsewhere. It's a damning indictment of an organization that once prided itself on player development and championship culture. The final verdict, the Jonathan Kuminga situation, represents everything wrong with modern NBA franchise management: short-term thinking, poor communication, and a complete failure to maximize valuable assets. The Warriors had a potential all-star on their hands and managed to turn him into a disgruntled trade asset seeking escape. Whichever trade package Golden State ultimately accepts, it will represent a significant loss of potential value due to their own mismanagement. The real tragedy isn't just losing Kuminga. It's the message this sends to future prospects about joining an organization that has clearly lost its way when it comes to developing young talent. The Warriors may still execute a reasonable trade that addresses roster needs, but they've already lost the most important battle: maintaining their reputation as a destination where young players can thrive and reach their potential. What's your take on this Warriors disaster? Do you think any of these trade packages actually make sense for Golden State, or have they completely destroyed Kuminga's value through their own incompetence? Share your thoughts below. I'm genuinely curious to see how you think this mess gets resolved, and whether the Warriors can salvage anything positive from their own organizational failure.